all people, among even a family, I'll give that as an illustration, all of the people on the planet, say a family or a tribe or whatever people want to call it, a little group of people that's wandering around in the woods, maybe it's just maybe 5 people. There's going to be one person in that 5 who knows a little bit more about the environment, or they begin to learn about the environment that they are in, and they will be kind of ahead of the other people in doing so. It just kind of works that way. I mean, you might have a family of 10 people. You got one person who is pretty good when it comes to auto mechanics, and then you have another person who's sort of a bookworm and whatnot, and they know a whole lot of things when it comes to maybe studying a variety of things. I mean, they don't know too much about any one thing, but they know a little bit about almost everything. And his name might be Everett, you know. So everybody in the family, all the 10 people, they say, well, ask Everett about that. He knows a little bit about that. You're talking about planting asparagus. I mean, he did a little of it one summer because he's always tinkering around and whatnot. So he might know a little bit of, you know. I don't know anything about it. I do carpentry work. Now, that's Carl talking. But Everett is the person that you see if you're going to start talking about asparagus. Now, the entire world is that way. In fact, there's an old proverb. Some people say it's a quote-unquote African proverb. He who does not know one thing knows another. And so everybody kind of knows something or has the potential for knowing something. See, everybody has some value of some type. You know, a person who is in a wheelchair might not be able, and obviously not, to be a linebacker on a football team. But that person may make an excellent football coach. Oddly enough, a person in a wheelchair who's never played football. But they can look at the plays and all like that and become an ardent student of the plays. And many people know people who know people who know people throughout, you know, the beginning of time, I guess, who can understand that basic concept. That everybody might know a little bit of something more than the next person standing next to them at any given time. And then there are some people who know a lot of things and know them, you know, very, very well. Sometimes people call them geniuses and whatnot. But they know something, and they can do very complicated things. They can work mathematical equations that are extremely complicated, that the average person has no idea of what they're doing. And then on something else, like driving a car, might be the worst driver. You never want to get in the car with them because they just simply can't drive, even though they're, you know, on paper and whatnot, and figuring out how to do architectural drawings and how to put up a building that is solid and that will stay there and have an excellent foundation and all like that, and what materials to use. They'll whiz at it. But put them under the wheel of a car, or sometimes maybe even a bicycle, and they fall off of it. You know, he who does not know one thing knows another. And maybe the universe is deliberately set up that way. Why? It's logical to think that it's set up that way because it keeps people from being too arrogant, hopefully. However, people do have a tendency to be arrogant. They learn a few things and then they begin to get arrogant toward the people who didn't learn those same things. And that causes a lot of problems. But even the smartest person in the world will become a person who is not so smart. Nowhere near as smart as they were years earlier. And we see this in what we call senility. If you keep getting up in the morning and going to bed at night, everybody begins to learn a little something about that. Or if they see someone else who keeps getting up in the morning and going to bed at night, and if they do it long enough, even the smartest person in the world will become very inefficient at doing what they have been doing best, and that's think. Because why? The mind begins to wear out just like the body. And a person who once could do all kinds of mathematical equations If you put 5 cents on the table, they would have no idea of what they're looking at if they stay here on the planet long enough. And that's a lesson in that. Don't be arrogant about what you know. When you know it and you are efficient at it, try to pass it on to other people and do so in a manner that has a constructive effect. A constructive effect. Now that's the effect you want it to have. You just don't pass on information and then when the information is used, it's used non-constructively or it's used in a deceptive manner. It's used in a manner to help to promote arrogance and cause a person to become overbearing and all like that.